All right, people, can you believe Chris tells me it's been 3 years. I don't believe it. Since our last episode. What episode are we on? 537? What episode is this? It's like maybe 30, 28. It'll be in the description. You've already seen it in the title. So we're back on the pressure washing project. And if you're new here, if you haven't watched this stuff, we made a many part, 20 plus part series. I essentially bought every electric pressure washer that I could get my hands on outside of the really odd, obscure Chinese-made stuff, which are just some different iteration of one of the major brands. And so we've done all the Karchers, the Sunjos, Ryobis, Greenworks. We did, what's that red one? Briggs & Stratton. We did Stanley. We did I say AR Blue? We did all the AR Blues. We did some of the ones that were popular, like the Adams pressure washer. We've done dozens and dozens, like 80-something pressure wash, 100 pressure washers roughly. And so now we're 3 years removed from that, and so I doubt that many of these, the internal guts are really much different, but I want to update the data, make sure the fittings are the same, make sure that it gets you the data on the output, so if you did happen to stumble into one of these at a Home Depot sale or something like that, you'll know how to connect it. The other thing that we're working on, by the time you see this video, it won't be up quite yet, but we're weeks away now, maybe a month or so away from launching our completely new pressure washing platform. It's gotten so robust and so complicated that it's hard for you to even figure it out. So we've taken and simplified these things and make it so that you can make your user experience better, whether you're cleaning the house, washing the car, whatever you're doing with it, getting you quick disconnects and hoses and fittings and all of that stuff, making it so that it functions best. So even though you may have a base entry-level hunk of crap pressure washer, because that's what all of these are, freaking garbage, then you can like hide the thing around the corner, get yourself a good 50-foot hose and a good gun, and you don't even know what you have, and it doesn't feel like you're using some $80 piece of junk. So in continuing this series, just to remind you, I can tell you right now with nearly 100% confidence that none of these are going to be any good. So don't get excited like I'm going to discover the unicorn for $39.99. It's not going to happen. Right now, that unicorn is the active, and the price keeps rising on that because of import costs. The active pressure washer does Krensla output for for $240 or whatever it is now, $230. These are not going to do anything near that because these are all 3 plunger pumps, and they're all some variant of pretty much the same thing. Some will have an induction type motor where they're brushless, they don't have brushes. Some are going to be a traditional brushed motor. The key to all of these, though, they're all designed to a price point, so you get what you get for the price that they're doing and putting together. The tricky thing on all these, and this is what the data will show you, so you can make an educated decision, is that even some of these are $300, where they're taking the same pump and they're just putting it in a new package. So just keep that in mind when you're chasing for perfection. The other thing I'll remind you, we get this all the time because we're literally changing the world by providing you all this information. Now there are 200 retailers copying this thing that I built. You got to take it easy on everybody or take it easy on us, all my people, because if you bought some piece of junk and you're trying to make it decent, I am making zero promise that you're smart enough to screw things together. So don't hold that against us. We're getting you 92.5% of the way there. All you got to do is man up and screw things together. There are going to be leaks. There are going to be surges. There's going to be blown up machines. When you're in this game of cheap, you're going to get those results. But I do think that you can take, I wish this was as good as a Honda Civic. What's a crappy entry-level car, Mike? Hyundai Sonata. No, the Toyota Yaris is actually pretty decent. Okay, yeah, this is a Nissan Sentra here. And you can make a Nissan Sentra pretty cool. Get some cool wheels, get decent suspension, put an intake on it. But ultimately, it's still a hunk of crap. You can make your Nissan Sentra experience decent, and that's what we're providing you here. So this isn't my advice that you should buy these. My advice is if you have this or you stumble upon this, we're going to show you how to connect it and make your user experience better. So just keep that in mind. And so what I find is that I'll sell someone a $5,000 pressure washer with $1,000 of accessories, and the thing will show up damaged, and they'll fix it themselves. They won't even tell us. They'll solve the problems. They'll perform maintenance, and they'll be great customers. And then you jokers that I sell a $29 connection kit, quick disconnect kit, are emailing us 57 times and yelling that we don't have a phone number. So know your place, if you will. So let's get started. There's going to be lots of this in this video as I tell you like it is. That's my style. So if you don't like it, get out of here. So first one, Chris, Ryobi 1800 1.2. Did I put down, I think this is a 13.5 amp motor. Oh, that's not a good sign. Hear that? That's class right there, bros. I actually think this one's pretty decent. It's just a repackage. I don't know what that is, but there was stuff falling out of it. So we're not off to a good start. This is the Ryobi. What's the model number on this thing? RY 141820. This is $129, bought from HomeDepot.com. This is Ryobi's brand. Is that my phone? What is that? How's my phone ringing? Must be through my computer. Get out of here, phone. So this is the 1800 PSI rated 1.2 gallon per minute. So I know that many of you are showing up here today, haven't watched the other series. What we're looking for is what is the real world flow? What is the real world pressure? Flow measured by how much water goes in the bucket in a minute, which we're going to do rather goofy in that I cut a hole in the top of my bucket, and then I get my stopwatch on my cell phone, and I just stand there and hold it there. I'm like, there's a bunch of other idiots doing this on YouTube now. I freaking made it up one day. It's the worst way to do it, but it works. But if you're going to copy, at least come up with a better solution, for gosh sakes. Anyway, so we're going to do that. We know the weight of the bucket. We'll subtract the weight of the bucket, and we'll get a flow rating. And then we'll get a pressure rating as well. I've got an MTM pressure gauge. I'll show you in a minute. And then we're going to denote that. We're going to put that down, and we're going to do it with the stock gun and wand. And then we're going to swap that out for a better wand and gun, and then we're going to figure out what nozzle works best. The way that a pressure washer works, the way that this works is there's a nozzle like this. There's a package of nozzles, and then nozzles have a hole in it. That's where the water comes out. And the bigger the hole, the less the pressure, the more flow. But the limitations, the motor, the output of this, it dictates how much pressure and flow we can actually get. So it's not a real simple formula in that you can look at the chart and say, well, shoot, if I take my $130 pressure washer and I put a 7.0 nozzle on it, I can get 3 gallons per minute, and I'll just reduce the pressure. There's a certain point where the thing won't work. We're also going to measure amperage, how much amperage draw we're getting, so we're not over driving the machine. So we're going to try to figure out how to make this, how to maximize this. It's kind of like we're going to put a tune on our Nissan Sentra and get a little better fuel economy and maybe a few extra horsepower. Probably not, but that's the hope. So pressure and flow are important. Flow is my target at 1,000 PSI. So I want as much flow as I can get at 1,000 PSI. And so we're going to adjust the hole size, the nozzle size, in order to figure out what works best with these pumps. Then we're going to denote that, and then when we sell you kits and packages, we'll make sure that we include and get you the right nozzle size. I was pretty spot on when I started this thing. I was like, man, I bet you people would really want this, because we got like zillions of emails all the time asking me what pressure washer, what fittings to get for their Ryobi or their Greenworks, and we've sold millions of dollars of this stuff. So clearly it was something that the people wanted. So you can see I've already set this up. I have a garden hose quick disconnect on the inlet, and this is the worst kind of inlet, and this is what most of these Chinese pressure washers have, is they have this this plastic fitting with an O-ring. So I don't need any tape, Teflon tape on this, but this is a major failure point here. You got to be careful because you want it tight so it doesn't leak, but you don't want it so tight that you warp the O-ring and then it spits out the side. You also don't want to tighten it too much and break this plastic thing because this is not replaceable. If you break this, machine, your $130 is punted in the trash. And then we have the outlet. There are two types of outlets. There's a M22 14 millimeter, which is the Ryobi's use a 14 millimeter connection. And then there's an M22 15 millimeter, which Sunjoe's, AR's, a lot of the other Chinese stuff uses. Back in the day when we were making these videos to begin with, we didn't have a full suite of M22 15 millimeter connections. We had to do all kinds of adapters. The nice thing now is that now we've worked with MTM and then other, like Amazon's Chinese suppliers have figured out that, well, these quick disconnects are a thing now, and so we'll make the right size. And so that 14 millimeters is the size or the diameter of this hole. Put your pinky in there. It's that hole is 14. If it's 15, it's 1 millimeter bigger. So if you take a 14 millimeter fitting and you put it on a 15 millimeter hole, the hole is, or this circumference isn't big enough to plug the hole, so you get water shooting out the side. It doesn't work. The nice thing now is that, again, 15 is readily available, but when we were doing these series back in the beginning, 3 or 4 years ago, Ryobi had a huge advantage, same with Greenworks, because they were using 14 millimeter fittings. So that's kind of how you'll set up your pressure washers. You'll put a garden hose fitting on the inlet, and you'll put an M22 by 3/8 plug, so a male 3/8 plug on the outlet, and that's how your little pressure washer will look. So let's just say, and we'll make more videos on this specifically, but just to cue you into this, let's just say you wanted to buy the Ryobi pressure washer, you didn't have the funds to buy a hose and a gun and all that stuff. Let's say you wanted to you just wanted to be able to break it down and put it in your cabinet. We do sell, and we've sort of made the executive decision to do everything as cheap as possible. Let's do the cheap brass fittings, which work, but let's do the inexpensive brass fittings. So if you buy a quick disconnect package for this pressure washer, this is what you get. You get your garden hose fittings, you get a couple of plugs, a couple of couplers, and that will allow you to set up your gun so that I can use the stock hose and quick click everything together. We're not going to use this because it's so bad. You're so stupid if you do that, so don't. But we know that lots of people, there's progressions here. There's steps to get to a good setup. So you may buy this cheap machine and say, look, I'm stuck with, I want to be able to use a foam cannon. I'm stuck with, a certain amount of dollars. So for $50 or whatever the $35 the quick disconnect package gets, I can at least break it down and put it in the cabinet and take care of it. So we do have that option, and you can go to the site now and do that. By the way, pretty much all the Ryobis are the same, so you can just use use the old 1800 PSI model, and it's the same exact fitting, so it'll get you there. So this machine comes with this hose, which is god-awful terrible, and look at this, and it'll kink like that and break, like just doing that. A pressure washer hose should not do that. And if I do it a couple of times, it'll actually crack and start spitting out the side. So you don't want that pressure washer hose, but that's what it comes with. The other problem is they give you a 50-foot power cord and a frickin' 25-foot hose, and so you're going to be dragging the machine around because 25 feet is not enough to get around pretty much any car. Maybe a Sentra, but not an F-150. Is it 20 feet? Oh, that's even worse.
Power cord's 35.
And I just ruined the 25-footer. Oh, the power cord's 35. Good job, Chris. 35-foot power cord, 20-foot hose. Garbage, you're going to throw it away anyway. So we're going to use a really fancy Cobra Jet hose, which is my favorite hose. We're the only ones that have this hose. And the beauty of this is you could try to kink this all day. It isn't going to happen. It'll carry the radius. So this is a single wire hose, meaning that there's a, I think this is probably, I think it's nitrile rubber. It might be EPDM, but I think it's nitrile rubber and exterior jacket, smooth jacket. The smooth jacket stays nicer longer, doesn't get as dirty as the gray hose that we do. That one has like a dimpled jacket that will pick up dirt. It's non-marking, so it's smooth and won't mark up your floor or your driveway, and it's super pliable. But behind the jacket, then there's like a wire mesh, and then there's an inner tube, and this is rated at 4,000 psi burst pressure, which you're never going to touch in messing with a car. Just don't frickin' run it over. If you run it over, then you're going to ruin it. Don't call me after you ran it over and say, hey, something's wrong with my hose. Have a little integrity here, people. Don't do that. Because I'm just eating it. So I'm doing all this frickin' work, making these videos and these crappy pressure washers, like the thing I hate doing most in the world, and then you're sticking it to me after you run over your hose and ruin it. Don't do that. So I do have an MTM pressure gauge on here. Normally we wouldn't have the gauge. You would just then connect your gun nice and quickly to here. By the way, a little tidbit of information. The reason why all these consumer hose or guns are these giant long guns, for whatever reason, I don't know what the agency is, but they cannot sell a consumer-based pressure washer with a short gun. So that's why all of these have a long wand and long gun. And so we're going to attempt to bring in a consumer-based pressure washer in an OG spec active and not have to waste the money on this gun, because this is terrible. So, but we want to test, I want to see what the specifications are, what the output of this thing is with the stock setup. And so here's the stock nozzle. Now, I'm generally going to recommend in a car, when we're car washing, I'm going to use a 40-degree pattern, so a 40-degree fan. In all my testing, I noticed and measured no pressure difference on the output of the machine. There's no pressure difference, measurable pressure difference when you go from 15 to 25 to 40. Now, if you use common sense, there's going to be more spot pressure on a specific spot if you're using a 0-degree nozzle versus a 40-degree. But the actual rated pressure coming out of the machine doesn't change when you change nozzle spray pattern. What does change is if you change the size of the hole. I can see myself on camera through that little baby hole. So there's a little baby hole on here. This one says 15017. The 017 probably means that this is a 1.7 orifice. No one even makes a 1.7, so they had to special make these. So in order to squeeze some more pressure out of this little baby, in order to get the 1800, which is nonsense, we're not going to get 1800, I can promise you that. But to get as much pressure as possible, what they do is they shrink the hole. Think about it. If you're trying to jam more water through a smaller hole, you're going to get more spot pressure. And it'll read here at the inlet to the gun. And then what we're going to do is we're going to adjust it. We're going to dial it down to 1,000 psi. So I'm going to make the nozzle as big as I can, still get around 1,000 psi, and then that will increase the flow. If we open the hole up, the more water can flow through. You get more cleaning done, more appropriate cleaning done in a car. Now, I made up 1,000 psi, and the way I made that up is I want to be able to take my hand about 12 inches away from the nozzle, from the tip, and not hurt my hand. If it doesn't hurt my hand, it's not going to hurt my paint. So that's where that logic comes from. I literally just made it up. It seems to make sense to me that that's a good spec, and I found somewhere in the 900 to 1,100 psi range is a good place to be. It doesn't have to be exact. Okay, so we got our hose set up. There is no difference. I measured no difference on 25 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet. Generally, most pressure washers under 200 feet, you're not going to see a pressure drop. Some of these little babies like this guy, once you get over 100, you might see it. But it doesn't matter if I use the stock hose, doesn't matter if I use my fancy Cobra Jet hose. That's a 1/4-inch hose. It comes with it. We're using a 3/8. We had no measurable difference on any of the pressure washers. I tested 50 of them before I gave up even testing that. It doesn't matter. So don't get hung up on your hose size or your hose diameter. It just, what matters is that you don't have any leaks or anything like that. I will tell you right now, there's a high probability that even though I've been doing this a long time, we've set up hundreds of pressure washers, sold tens of thousands of pressure washers, I'm probably going to have a leak right now. So you just prepare yourself for the fact you're going to have leaks. All right, so let's get going here. Let me connect. So let's do this here. And then we're going to connect our outlet. And I got myself a cold in the middle of the frickin' summer. And then we have our inlet. So this is a 12-foot inlet hose, garden hose fitting. Now, take note here. Rubber O-ring, right? There's an O-ring in there. You know, I'm always telling you to man up. Go get your girlfriend if she, if you're not, you're not tough enough to put like the fittings on the Cobra Jet hose. If you need to replace one, don't be a frickin' baby. Do some bicep curls or something. Get some real tools instead of trying to use some vice grips or some bull crap you have from Harbor Freight. Go order some real tools. Get some stuff that works. But with a garden hose, it's the opposite. Maybe you should have your girlfriend do this because you don't want this to be too tight. I want it to be not Matt Mormon tight, but we'll say Jeff tight, Bryce tight. So that's how tight you want it to be. Just tight enough to where it doesn't leak. I can look in there. My O-ring is just starting to warp. What's wrong with my freaking computer? Stop calling me. I don't have my ringer on. You should never have your ringer on your phone. Your phone should be charged. You're not a baby. Turn your ringer off. You're not a girl. If you're a girl, then you can have the ringer on. It's fine because you don't usually have your phone in your pocket. It's okay. So don't have your ringer on. My computer's over there, so my ringer wasn't on. It's on vibrate, but it was ringing through my darn FaceTime thing on my phone. Okay, so that's your setup. Inlet, outlet, 12 foot. We saw there's 6.5, 12, 20, 35, 50, 75, 100 feet. I think you want a little whip hose like this. 6.5 foot's even better. The problem is if you use the little 20-foot hose that comes with the thing, you need room to drag this thing around because you won't be able to reach the car, so you probably need a 20 or 35-foot hose or something like that. So what we're using is, again, we're taking a Nissan Sentra and we're putting a Ferrari hoses on the thing, Porsche spec hoses. We don't sell anything but the best version of the hose. Now we do different versions of the gun. They're progressive versions of the gun. The problem with selling junk hoses is that the hose is something that fails. There's a big delta between a junk hose and a really good hose, where the delta isn't quite as big between a good gun and a really high-end gun and a good gun. But stay away from the Chinese guns, and the Italian guns. Generally, most of the Italian guns are junk. The MTM is really the only Italian gun that's any good. So there's MTM and Mosmatic. Those are the two that you want to stick with. Suttner makes the Mosmatic stuff for them. Okay, so give me some water. See if we got any leaks. Yeah, got a leak at the inlet. Okay. Told you there'd be a leak. I knew it. So it's probably leaking right here. So this is the one fitting. You could grab some channel locks if you needed to. I can probably just do it with my shirt. See what we got here. Simple as that. You got to work for it, people. I'm telling you, you got to work for it. Water under pressure, you got to work for it. And I didn't do that on purpose. I'm just telling you, don't expect perfection here. Perfection is not the goal here. The good quality user experience is what we're looking for. And then you can frickin' whine and complain about letting the air out or not letting the air out. It doesn't really frickin' matter. It just makes it easier if you let the air out and get the water flowing. But it doesn't, I don't think it matters all that much. It's not looking good here. Do we have water on? Yeah. Turn it on. Oh yeah, that old squeak. I missed you. I missed you, squeak. Uh-oh. Something going on here with this nozzle, I bet you. That's not good. We're leaking again, Jeff. Leaking again, yeah. Your plug. What happened? This thing blew up. Not off to a good start. I can't even get this this nozzle off. This is not good. There's something. So in other words, the machine. There was something bouncing around there. I guarantee there's a piece of metal in this nozzle that just worked through the machine. So this could be a lesson to you that maybe if you start up your machine, especially if you hear something crunching around, you probably want to turn it on without the nozzle on, just to blow through whatever metal was in the system, because I don't want to look at that. I can see it. You can see the little air bubbles. It's letting the pressure out, so it'll release pressure here shortly. You turn that water off. Yeah, we still got about 400 psi sitting on this thing. I think it ought to be okay to unload that. Don't do this at home, kids. Close your eyes. This has never happened to me before. Why is my phone ringing? Get out of here. There we go. That's what I was looking to avoid. So if this ever happens to you, this is a good little lesson, that if it ever happens to you where everything's locked down under pressure, you have to slowly release that pressure somehow. But what can happen is if something's in the machine, it'll get stuck in that little hole there. So it could be a good practice to like turn the machine on, let the air out without the nozzle in, and then you won't ever have that issue. But let me try to get this. Let me see if one of these others has the same orifice, and I can just do that. Normally these pressure washers don't tell you. Yeah, see, this is a 1.65, not the same size nozzle. 1.65. So we won't get the correct results. We won't get what the results are, so I gotta get this thing cleaned out. I'm gonna get some channel locks. And so what I wanna do here, so our leak point is right here, so you can do one of these just to get that a little tighter. The O-ring on this hose is a red O-ring. It's a little more stout. Now we need to try to get this thing cleaned out. Paper clip's gonna be too big. What could I use? Oh yeah, it's true. They have a little. I wonder if these do too. Let's do this. I want to blow air into my darn veins. Who says I don't use the vise? I think I did it. Yep. All right, let's try this again. I can see through it again. It's good. You can refer this back. You can make a little, what do you call these things? Macros. Make a little macro. Hey, if you got a thing and your thing's not working, that's your problem. Let's run some water through it first this time. We've evolved quite a bit over the last 3 years.
You got an M22.
You got a what?
On the out.
Oh shoot, I didn't turn it back on. Oh boy, let's kill it. Shoot, turn that water off. No, remember I unscrewed it to let the pressure off?
I screwed it back in.
Oh, you did? We had the new guy put the fittings on, so we'll see. This is real world, man. We're not editing it. I'm not going to edit this out. This is the way it goes. O-ring's good there. Sometimes reseating is necessary. All right, give me some water. shouldn't take this long to get set up, but sometimes this is the way it goes. So I've done hundreds of these things, but this is the way you gotta prepare yourself for this. That's pretty spicy, man. That's 1800 PSI right there, bros. That's 1810. That's juicy. I'll do some work around the house there, bros. That's good. Okay, so let's see. Do we need a current draw for this? All right, so let's do that. Jeff, this is your job. There you go. .6 amps. So they're, the nozzle on this, they're squeezing some serious pressure out of this little guy. So this machine's working hard. So it's probably 15 amp brushed electric motor, and they're driving it hard. All right, let's get our spec here. So you can do a foam cannon with this, but you just have to do it in douche mode. So if you were going to do the stock setup, you see these people on Instagram all the time like this because they don't know what they're doing. And uh-oh, maybe not. No foam cannon at all. I thought if we transition to the stubby, it's still, this type of quick disconnect is still very different. It's really, really stubby. So this one just doesn't work. It won't. It'll mess up your O-ring even if you did make it. We could probably force it. So no foam cannon on this at all. In order to do a foam cannon, you're going to have to swap the gun. You're going to have to do aftermarket. Okay, let's get our flow measurement here. Stick this in the bucket. Get my stopwatch started. And stopwatch, 3, 2, 1, go. So it's rated at 1.2 gallons per minute. My guess is we're probably going to get somewhere around 1.3. No, well, we're going to find out. Well, I'm not going to make predictions. 20 seconds. I need to get an SPL rating with the thing just firing on the ground, because that's what I did on all the others. 20 more seconds. Ten, 5, 3, 2, 1, stop. All right, Jeff, can you give me a measurement on that while I swap the guns here? So the bucket weighs, take the top off.
The bucket weighs 2.76 pounds.
Okay. So the bucket weighs 2.76. We're doing what, 8.32 pound, 8.34 pounds per gallon of water.
11.87 pounds.
So that's 1.1 gallons a minute. 1.08. Yeah, that's what I figured. So they're sacrificing flow for all that, all the spiciness of that 1800 PSI, which you don't want for a car. Yeah, it'll clean your car better. What you would want is 1800 PSI and 2 gallons a minute. That'd be really nasty. But I think we're going to want to dial the pressure back. So we're probably going to go all the way up to, I have 3.0 here. I might go to 3.5. We'll see how it does. So we're going to let the pressure out of this, turn the machine off. We're going to swap our guns. I'm going to talk to you about guns for a second here. So I've never really talked about this before, but one advantage of all that pressure is that it's really efficient. I mean, you saw that thing ran for what, 20 seconds? with just the water in the 50-foot hose and the 12-foot inlet hose. So that is an advantage of having a higher pressure pressure washer. But the problem is there's a function when or an equation. If you take pressure times flow, you get something called cleaning units. And so you are almost always sacrificing flow when you increase pressure. The way that you improve both so that you get a bigger engine, bigger motor. You get instead of using a 15 amp circuit, you use a 20 amp circuit. Instead of using a 20 amp circuit or a 110 volt circuit, you use a 240 volt circuit. So our packages are going to look like this in the future. The entry level package is going to be called Basic, and it's going to include this gun, which is the MTM SG28. This is the original. Not the original, but this was the main gun for a little while, maybe 6 months or so, 4 or 5 years ago. This is the SG28. There's no swivel on this. The problem with not having a swivel is that your hose, pressure washer hose, as pliable as the Cobra Jet is, pressure washer hoses are not very pliable. And so I think you want a swivel, especially when you're washing the car, because it allows the gun to rotate and allows the hose to unbind and wind and unwind. And so this is a $65 full stainless gun. Where this gun comes from is that I wanted this gun and I wanted it full stainless. This is when I was having issues with Mosmatic, getting the guns from Switzerland, because this baby here, this was my favorite. This has a fluid Mosmatic swivel, so the claim to fame on this is this is a Suttner base. Suttner is a gun manufacturer out of Germany that Mosmatic has had a relationship with for like 100 years. And so Suttner makes the gun to Mosmatic spec, and I think Mosmatic assembles them, but the guts of the gun are sent to Mosmatic in Switzerland. These are assembled in Switzerland, and we bring them here to the US. So this gun was a catalog item in the Mosmatic catalog that I paid hundreds of dollars. I think I paid like 110 just in shipping to get one. There's no picture, there was no description. They just said gun, Mosmatic gun with a swivel. And I even called Mosmatic, and Jamie is a good friend of mine now. Jamie from Mosmatic tried to talk me out of it. He says, you don't want a swivel. Because a swivel is a wear and tear item that could damage the gun. I said, but we're not doing this professionally. And even if I was, washing a car is a lot less wear and tear on these products than cleaning a house or a commercial building. And so this gun, at the time, I brought one in and I fell in love. But the problem is when I first started selling pressure washers, we couldn't get enough of them. I'd get like 10 at a time, 15 at a time, and we were selling 100 at a time. And so I went to MTM and said, I need you to make me a gun with a built-in swivel, and that's where this came from. Now the problem is, where I made a mistake, is I didn't commit to being the exclusive distributor of it, because I still like this is still better. So I didn't want to commit to being the sole distributor for this, so now this gun is everywhere. But it's really fantastic. I mean, this is a great, it's certainly not entry level. It's entry level for Obsessed Garage, but certainly not entry level in the world of guns. And then what we're going to use here today, which is the ultimate, which is something that we've taken, me and Jamie from Osmatic redesigned this gun and this wand, and now we have what is called the OG spec version, which has a number of advantages. This gun has a built-in swivel, so the swivel is built into the handle, so we reduce a lot of bulk. Because in the very beginning, I was taking the predecessor of the SG28, which is the MTM M407, and I had a bunch of fittings to convert, and then I had a big Mosmatic swivel in the middle, and I had 9 inches of extra bulk that just made the gun not operate properly. And then the other thing, if you're not familiar, the OG spec wand setup is very different from the original wand setup. You can see we've taken the coupler, moved it to behind the nozzle, and so now the nozzle is a separate assembly that is protected. So if you did whack the fender of your car, the nozzle is actually deep down inside there. So let's test our pressures here and let's figure out what size we want to make this. And in order to stay consistent, I'm going to use these nozzles, which are not nearly as good as these nozzles from a function or from an aesthetic perspective. These function just as well, but just to keep the integrity of the data correct, these are the ones that we did the other 100 tests on, and so we're going to use the same
same one. So let's start with 2.5 is going to be a waste of time, but let's start with a 2.5 40 degree, and let's, in essence, dial in. Let's modify our setup, our pressure washing setup. Yeah, you can turn it on. Give me some water. I need to turn the machine on. Uh-oh, what's leaking? I think that's my swivel is leaking there. My swivel is probably not going to like this type of European style plug, but it'll work. Come on. There we go. Okay. Let the air out. Yeah, it doesn't like that plug. Let's use the old gun. This is an MTM original. This is an original coupler, and it doesn't like some of these couplers have since been redesigned. So this coupler doesn't like, a lot of times doesn't like the plug style. So let's use the old school plug version on this. We should have a problem then. Okay. It stinks because the OG spec gun is a way to go. It's so good. I'm going to be using it for 30 seconds, so we'll be fine. Okay. So this is a 2.0. Let's get some air out. Turn it on. So yeah, so that's 1300 PSI.
This is a bit too much for me and a bit too much pressure. I would rather have a little more flow. So let's go up to a 3.0 nozzle. That's 2.5, let's go 3.0. And then we're doing 40 degree. Because 40 degrees is what we're gonna modify and what we're gonna use to wash our car. Some people like to use a 25 degree. That's okay. You can use 25 or 15 if you want. I just think I like the safety factor of a 40 degree nozzle.
That's like 1090.
Can you go grab me a 3.5 set? I didn't bring a 3.5. I can try this 3.5. I didn't bring a 3.5. So that's 3.0. Let's just see. I bet you. So if we're, we'll probably lose under 200 psi. So it might bring it down to 900. Again, there's a balance there of, if I bring it down to 900 psi, I'm going to pick up a little bit of flow. Not a lot though. Not enough to justify, dropping that below low in pressure. But I think I'm going to try the 3.5, see how it goes. But I think we'll probably end up with the 3.0. And so because I'm doing this test, you don't have to. You don't have to. This is why we did this, and then we can compile the data and we can use it to get a reading. I forgot to do the SPL test, didn't I?
Yeah, I got it for the one.
Okay. All right, so this is a 3.5 40 degree. Yeah, 910 PSI. So I'd rather run it a little hot at 1090 because the flow on this machine is not going to be very good. So let's make sure is this the 3.0? That's the 2.5. That's the 3.0. So I think the 3.0 nozzle is the way to go. Yeah, it's like right at like 1095. It's really close to 1100. So 1090, we'll say. All right, let's do our flow test. What do you think our flow is going to go up to? Anybody got any guess? What do you think? We went from 1.08, so we went from 1800 plus PSI, 1.08 to what's this going to do? 1.3.
1.25.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 1.4. Let's see. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. This is so different. When I was doing the other test, we started in the summer, I was out there sweating, we ended in the winter, I was out there freezing. Now we're doing it in the air conditioner with a drain. We've come a long way in the last 3 years. We didn't have this side of the building. I do find that the Ryobis aren't as annoying sounding as the Sunjos and the ARs. The Sunjo and AR are made in the same place. The Ryobi and the Greenworks, I'm pretty sure, are made in the same place. Greenworks being Lowe's, Ryobi being, you know, their major purchaser would be Home Depot. I'm always yelling at you, but I forget that my mic is right here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. It's funny, when I first did this test, I was rooting against all of these things. I'm like, please don't be as good as the Krenzel. Please don't be as good. Because I had no intention of selling any of these. And of course, at the end of the test, I really loved the Karcher. The Karcher ended up being pretty decent. Ooh, it looks like a little bit of water in there. What do we got?
14.65, Chris.
1.43. Wow.
Yeah. So you can see, I mean, that's a significant modification. We dialed back pressure, increased flow, and now we have a machine that's actually pretty functional. I mean, 1.4 gallons a minute is not very good. It's not super fun, but it gets the job done. You'll see here with the foam cannon. So let's do our foam cannon test. The main thing I'm concerned with the foam cannon is that I don't want to stress my 15 amp circuit. I don't want to be drawing, you know, 17, 18, 19 amps on a 15 amp pump, because that pump is probably already overworked at, you know, at its current, output. And so we're underworking it a bit by increasing flow, but we don't want to overwork it with the foam cannon. Now, the way that foam cannons work, it's the same idea as the nozzles. You know, we look through the hole of the nozzle. There is the same thing inside of here. So right behind this cup, or right behind this plug, this is a 1/4 inch plug, right behind there is an orifice, and you can use a flathead screwdriver to unscrew it and change it. I got one right here. Let me show you what it looks like. Oops. So we send these, we pull out the junk that comes in the box of these. I should probably get some custom, you know, OG versions of these built direct from MTM. But we do this here, we modify these here. And so here's what a orifice nozzle looks like in a foam cannon. So that's what it looks like. And so you can see there's a hole in there. This is the stock size. This is a 1.25 millimeter orifice. I'm not sure what the translation is. So there's 2.5, 3.0, 4.0. This is not a 1.25 nozzle. This is a 1.25 millimeter nozzle, which is probably something like is it equivalent to 3? It looks bigger than that though. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Like if I look at a 3.0 nozzle, it's a lot larger than that. Maybe your 1.1 is equivalent. So anyway, the foam cannons come with a 1.25 millimeter orifice that we leave in the box in case you ever needed it in the future. And it comes with a 1.1. We install the 1.1 for when you're buying the Ryobis and the Greenworks. In the beginning, we weren't sure if it would work. Now I'm pretty much guarantee it's going to work. So the question is, when I use this 1.1 millimeter orifice, 1, do I get decent foam? And then 2, do I overamp the machine? So we're going to test it on our amp meter over there that we have plugged in. And then I'm going to see, do I get any decent foam? And before I was foaming the side of the building, but we'll just foam it right here. What do you got?
12.5.
I'd say that's pretty freaking decent foam. So 12.5, so we're okay to run a 1.1 on this machine, considering the stock gun and wand was drawing 14.5 amps. So I have 150 millimeters of soap and 600 milliliters of water in this foam can with, that's Koshikemi GSF, and you get pretty decent foam, like perfect foam. That might even be a little bit extra foam, or what I normally like, but shaving cream level foam on a $130 machine. But you got to spend, to make it really function well, you're going to spend $500 on all the other stuff to make it great.
But the beauty is, then you can adapt these. We could get you some new fittings and stuff when you adapt it to a Krenza or an AR or something like that, professional. All right, let's break this one down and swap it over to the next one and get the data. This is going to run a little quicker now. We're going to go get some lunch. Okay. Okay, so the next pressure washer is rated at 1900 psi and 1.2 gallons per minute. What's the model number on this puppy?
That is the 1419 MT.
1419 MT, a new one versus the old one, versus the original. So I'm going to swap this over, and then let's do it with the OE gun. This OE gun has a 1.65 nozzle on it. So it's probably the exact same pump in there, but they're just squeezing a little more pressure out of it. Let's see if it actually gets any more pressure. Yeah, my guess is this thing's gonna be identical. But let's see. And this is a real weak point on this. The hose inlet is already shaking around. This one comes with the same crappy hose. Although this hose is just as crappy, it's just yellow. This one goes with the 2000 psi version. But you can see what they do here. In order to hit price points, they take, I guarantee you, these are the same pumps. They put a different packaging around it. They charge more. How much is this one? So it was $129, $149. It's the same freaking thing, and all they're doing, the same gun, but they're just going to change this from 1.7 to 1.65. This is why they don't generally publish the spec on it, because if you knew what you were doing, you would know that. And so this little bro, let's do the smart thing this time and not get metal in the line. So soap injection and all that stuff. So in case you're wondering, you probably don't know this if you're buying one of these entry-level pressure washers. The way that soap injection works in really any pressure washer, there's a little nozzle on the side here. These have a little blue nozzle. This is the soap nozzle. So see what they do? Remember, we're talking orifice. So this is a big fat hole. So they open the hole up. So the hole on this is a tiny little hole, and then they make a big hole. And so what happens is this drops the pressure and increases the flow. When the pressure drops, it creates a Venturi effect and then siphons the bleach or the soap or whatever you have in the tank. But you can't use that as a foam cannon because there's not enough pressure to foam it. So really, it's just putting some bleach in the water line when you're using like the soap nozzle on there. So that's how that works. Not something you're going to use regularly. So having tanks and all that crap on these things just makes it bulkier. So they're selling you this as this one has a soap tank on it. So, and it has 1900 psi instead of 1800, but it's the same freaking pump, I guarantee it. He's not shooting straight. It's like a little leaning to the right there. Just make sure. It's 1450 psi. There we go. Okay. What was the other one? 1810? 1810. Yeah, same exact thing. Okay, so we're going to get the exact same result. We need to do it. I did it on the other ones, didn't I? I did every single one of them all the way through. Okay, do we got our amperage reading?
14.5.
Okay, and we've got, so 14.5 amps is drawing. It's the same freaking pump. You would think with putting this different nozzle on here, it would give you a little different pressure, but maybe they're tricking us. All right, then we need our SPL. Did you get our SPL reading?
Yes, I got it.
Okay. Same SPL reading. What are these reading?
It's about 70.
So 70 dB, which is pretty average for these things. This is probably the same exact pump as the old versions too. The versions 3 years ago. 3, 2, 1, go.
This isn't that bad doing this test. Wait till I get to the 35th pressure washer though. I'll do the Greenworks on Monday, and then the Sun Joes after that. By the way, we're gonna package these up. I'm gonna post it on Instagram and Facebook, and we're gonna sell basically give the pressure washer away with an OG package. So I'm going to sell off all my tester models that we used once.
15 seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. Bet you it's 1.08. Okay, let me swap the guns here. Jeff will give us our measurement.
So these are pretty, the Greenworks and the Ryobis are pretty loud, but they're not unpleasant like some of these can be.
11.88.
1.09.
Ooh, that's just me releasing the trigger like a millisecond. What did I do with my gun? Where'd it go? There's one. 1, 2. Where is it? Oh. There's my gun.
3.0.
Foam cannon is good to go on the OE gun?
No. Nope.
Nope.
So this is 3.0 nozzle. It's going to be the same nozzle, same result, but let's just do it. $10.90, same result. Let's do our other test here. What's our amperage draw now? What was it before? It was
10.8.
Yeah, so we went from 14.5 to 10.8.
That guy's gonna stop over and say hi.
Okay, yeah, you can just come pull up a stool while I'm shooting a video here.
Okay, stop, reset. 3, 2, 1, go.
So clearly, if you're going to buy one of these, buy the cheaper one because there's no benefit to this. Just bigger, bulkier version. Are those wheels on that thing? Why does it have wheels? It weighs like 5 pounds. What are you going to do with that?
$20 seconds.
This is a minute of my life I'm never going to get back.
5, 3, 2, 1, stop. Okay, chalk it up to the same. Stop, reset. Okay, let me switch to foam cannon. We lost Jeff. Jeff, what are you doing? Come on.
You're missing your debut here.
Check our foam cannon. Mike, can you read that? I can see it. 12.5 amps, 1.1 millimeter orifice. Good.
14.62.
Okay. 1.42 GPMs. Again, it's a factor of how quickly do I release the darn trigger or not. All right, so let's swap. We got everything on this, right? So let's swap to the last one, which should, I bet you it's the same freaking thing. This is a premium though. Oh, they're all premium? Okay. All premiums, that's good. Okay, swap our gun over, get the pressure out. Now, this premium pressure washer has a slightly different gun. And this is where your quick disconnect package will be a little different. So this has a gun with a wand that can be quick disconnected. And notice the gun is a little bit more premium. How much is this one?
$199.
Ooh, 200 bones, 199 bucks. And so the nice thing about this is we can adapt the foam cannon. Now you have to do a little trick to it. You know, the foam cannon, we have to do a conversion to M22. So you have this big bulky thing coming out of the back of the foam cannon. But then you don't have to go full Instagram douche mode. You can actually put, on a semi-short gun, you can put the foam cannon here instead of all the way out there, which is, kind of dumb. You don't want to do that if you can help it. It's just easier to manage the foam cannon. Plus, you could probably get away with doing wheels with your foam cannon here. You would just need that little adapter piece. And so, if you buy the quick disconnect package or our various packages, we can set it up. The quick disconnect package only. So you could do a foam cannon with this pressure washer. It's not going to fit on this, but it will fit on this part of the gun with that. But I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, let's swap this over. Can you plug this one in, Jeff? This one needs some power. I mean the power plug over there. I'll do this part. Same thing. Inlet on the back, outlet on the front. Rated at 2,000 psi, 1.2 GPM. I don't believe you, Ryobi. Comes with a different hose. Ooh, you get an extra 5-foot hose for your extra 50 bucks. Look at the wheels. What? Oh, yeah, bro. Look at that. Now it makes a little more sense. That's cute. That's smart. Look at that. That is freaking slick. I don't care who you are. You want that. Matt, you just don't like these because you can't sell them. How do you know I can't sell them? I haven't even tried. So this has the same nozzle. Imagine foam cannon with this. Yeah, you just hit the thing out and you foam crazy. Yeah, that's dork mode right there, guys. And I know you don't realize it. That's because you're a dork. You don't know it. I'm helping you out here, helping you not be a dork. Foam cannon, man, look at this foam. And then they just foam cannon everywhere. When you're using your foam cannon, you paint back and forth. Like if you were painting your, what does Jeff do? You paint the, what's that stuff where you change the color of your wheels and stuff for cheap? Plasti dip, yeah. Yeah, that's how you do it. I always get excited when I first look at it, like, what's the pressure gonna be? Uh-oh, we got a little juice in there. We have to go blow this out. A little something or other got in there, I think. Let's do this. Apparently 2021 Ryobis, you gotta make sure you blow out the juice. Doing some weird stuff here. $18.50. Get an extra little spice on this one for your monies. All right, how much amperage does that draw?
14.7.
Oh, so they dial it up 0.2 of an amp to get a little more pizzazz out of this one. All right, let's do our GPM test. Do these other guys that make these videos, are they as spicy as I am and entertaining? I don't think so. Why would you want to do this? This is terrible. I hate doing this. I'm only doing it to make money, like lots of money. What am I doing? I've lost my train of thought. I shock jock myself. Time, yeah, okay. 3, 2, 1, go. By the 15th Sunjo, I'll probably fall asleep standing up doing this. Why couldn't they at least make it do a little different? Give me the exact same output. This one might have a little less flow, we'll see. Two, one, let go. Okay, swap the gun. Stop that, reset. Let's see what we got here. Drum roll. I'm excited. For Ryobi, oh, that doesn't look like a whole lot of water in there, Jeffrey. It's an
11.7.
1.07.
1.07 GPMs. That ain't no good. You do not want 1.07 GPM and 1850 PSI. That is the opposite of what you want. What do you think it's going to be? A 3.0 nozzle? I think so too. Okay. So make sure on your new Ryobis you don't ruin your nozzle. You got to blow out the metal. Some metal gunk going on in these puppies. Wow. See, I say, we're getting more horsepower out of this, but we're running it, more efficiently. So drawing 10 amps, 10.1 amps. So I don't know how that translates. I would think that you would get better life out of your machine, but I'm making that up. It just seems to make common sense that it sounds like it's not working as hard. I wonder if there's any detriment to if this machine is calibrated or calculated to run. I don't think they really care. These are targeted at 60, 70 hours of use. And it's all based on price point. They're just saying, what are we going to price this retail, and then what kind of margins can we get? That's how this consumer game is played. I don't like that game. With a 3.0 nozzle, we're getting 1050 out of it. So we might get a little bit more flow. Switch hands. 3, 2, 1, go. So I think I spent, how much did I spend on all these pressure washers? I spent $8,500 buying these pressure washers. I'm doing it for the children. 8,900? I thought I spent like $4 grand. Oh, I forgot about the ARs. We have all the ARs coming too. 20 seconds. Why am I yelling at you? I keep yelling at you. This thing's loud. 10 seconds. Yeah. So I spent $8,000. Now we'll get some of that back because I'll make a little bit of profit on the packages. We'll only sell these as a package, and then we'll just include the pressure washer. That's what I did last time. And you guys are always good about buying this stuff. Help me do these tests.
14.5.
1.41.
1.41 GPM. It's the same freaking pump. Same exact pump as the other. So all three of these are the same. So you want the 1800. If you had the choice of these three, surely the 1800. Unless you just want a nifty little hat stand for you, or whatever you want to call that. Nice little leany. I guarantee I could break this thing. 11.8 amps. Foam cannon, yes to foam cannon on this. So I guess I should probably, on the Greenworks video, I'll refer to everybody come back to the Ryobi because I'm not going to go into as much detail on the Greenworks because the Greenworks have more pressure washers. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them.
8.
So, oh shoot.
You got 8 green work.
We're gonna have to do that over the course of like 2 or 3 days.
15 Sundays.
15 new Sunjos. They already had 15, so that means there's like 30 Sunjos, and there's another 2 or 3 of them that I couldn't even get. Ooh. That's when the supercharger kicks in. So yeah, so there's the Greenworks data. We have the, this won't be published for, what do you think, a month or so, maybe something like that. So we do have on the website, if you go to pressure washing on the right-hand side, there's a pressure washing spreadsheet. It's a hyperlink that takes you to the spreadsheet we've compiled. It's going to be missing this data. It's missing the active data as well, but we'll have an updated version with the spreadsheet coming, and then all different types of packages from, sort of good, better, best. We call it basic, advanced, and ultimate. We'll have, and we're going to delineate what is a package, what is a solution, what's the other, what is the kit package solution, is that how it goes? So we're gonna brand and name what each progression is, and then it'll all be priced accordingly and specifically. And all I do with any of the packages is just add up the price. So like if you're buying all of those, if you bought one and let's say it's $10 and the package includes 5, it would be $50. I don't think putting a package, it makes no sense. Like all these companies, they discount the package. I have to do more work. I had to sit here and be miserable messing with this freaking crappy pressure washer. So to me, a package should just be an addition, a summation of the underlying cost, the underlying retail things. And what we always ask is that people pay for shipping, that you pay for shipping, and that we pay retail pricing. If you want a discount, you can become a Hex member, where I really tell you like it is in there to share my life and business and a lot of detail in the Hex group. So last time we were doing these, we didn't have a membership platform like that. So go to obsessgarage.com, go to membership. But yeah, the Ryobi stuff, it's decent. It's M22 14 millimeter fittings, which is nice. Not so much of an advantage anymore, but you can take one of these, it'll hold you over for a while. I want to say Ryobi's probably have 2 or 3 year warranties, probably 2-year warranty on it, so a lot of times you can return them if they break. There's no reason to pay the extra $70 for this one because it's the same freaking thing as the other. And I do think, that little 1800 PSI one, that's just the new version of the old 1600 PSI. It's probably the same exact thing, just with some more modern packaging. So I think that would be the one you would want. It's a little bit more compact. If I remember, the old 1800 was a little bigger. So, but know that pretty much all the Ryobis are the exact same pump, with the exception of one of their brushless version, which that one's terrible, terrible, terrible. But these all have auto stop start, which used to be a big selling point. Now pretty much every pressure washer turns off when you release the trigger. So anyway, full suite of solutions, obsessedgarage.com. Appreciate your support. I know I razz you a bit, but I do appreciate it. Those of you who honor the source of this information. I hate to say it, I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but I am the source of this stupid idea of spending my life savings on crappy pressure washers I don't want anything to do with, and then figuring out what fittings work, figuring out what the specifications are, and then trying to modify it so that it works the best it can for washing your car. So that's the hope of the result. And then the end result is hopefully you buy millions of dollars and I get famously rich and I'll never have to do this again someday. That's the goal. Anyway, I do enjoy the pursuit of the product. So thanks for watching, thanks for participating, and let's go get some barbecue. See you guys in the next one. Greenworks is next.